But like, what's it like for you? You guys, I mean, it feels like it's pretty much just like back to normal, which, or does it feel like that's not the case and maybe it's just from the outsider's perspective?
Um, I mean, things are definitely moving in that direction. I think that most people here in the States just have so much COVID pandemic fatigue that
Yeah.
we like care at this point, which is
Yeah.
unfortunate. It's been what, almost 2 years that we've
Yeah.
been living, and I feel like it's going to stick around for a while. And
Yeah.
so I think the mentality of most Americans is like, well, it's here for a while. We might as well just deal with it, you know?
I feel like we're getting to that point now. I think if everybody's had the opportunity to get vaccinated, like what else really can you do? Do you know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
right,
and we're not at that position yet. Where they're really smashing out the rollout now, and we've got a very high compliance when it comes to vaccinations. I mean, obviously, even just with staying home and stuff, people are pretty compliant in Australia. So it's been it's been good to see the take up like so quick now, but it could have been in February and we could have avoided all of this, and that's what's frustrating for people because we were in
yeah.
such a good position. So it's yeah, it's just weird. It's just a weird position to be in, and watching the whole world open up, and you're just like, oh, okay, I still can't leave the house. Like it's
Do
so
you guys,
weird.
do you guys know how much longer you're going to be in lockdown for?
So they've given us projections of like, so when we get to 70% double vaxxed, there'll be like, we'll open up a little bit, and then when we get to 80% vaxxed, we'll open up a little bit, and then it will be special kind of privileges just for vaccinated people as well. So that whole argument about, similar to kind of vaccine passport sort of thing, but you're going to need it for to go to certain events and stuff like that. And there's obviously a smaller percentage of people that are kind of worried about that sort of stuff as well. Probably a bit
Right.
smaller than America, but you know, there's obviously people that are not stoked about that. What up, Sly Dog? Nice to see you here. I think the notification just went out, so people will be entering the chat soon. So yeah, it's just I guess they're saying kind of end of October, early November is the projection based on the uptake at the moment.
So there's a little light at the end of the tunnel.
A little light, yeah. The worst thing for me is the artist that I work really closely with, Rule, that I've been working with for like 5 years, and his manager and his videographer are like my two best friends. They've all just gone to LA to like finish off Rule's album. So you can get, it's really hard to leave Australia at the moment as well. You actually have to have a very special exemption to leave. You can't even leave the country, which is, I know, wild. But so they've gone to LA and I've just got the biggest FOMO. I'm just like, I wish I was there.
I
So yeah,
blame you too.
yeah, maybe, hopefully next year. What up, 80? Nice to see you here, Jeff. Welcome to the stream. Nice to see you here. Well, hopefully people are joining the stream now, which is good. That notification took so long to go out, but that's okay. How are you, 80 and Sly Dog in the chat? How are you guys going? Thanks for being here. We're going to get into this in a second. I'm just going to wait for just because the notification took so long. I'll wait a couple of more minutes. How are things in Atlanta though? There's such a great, vibrant kind of music and hip hop scene in Atlanta.
Yeah, I love Atlanta. Atlanta's great. Have you ever been?
I have. I went on tour with Rule a couple of years ago, and I really loved it. I noticed that there's lots of beautiful men in Atlanta. That's what I definitely noticed. I remember telling my husband, I'm like, just keep me away from Atlanta because I'm sorry. Oh, that's where all the beautiful people are.
Yeah, yeah. No,
I definitely noticed that.
there's good looking people in Atlanta, and there's good food. Have good, like, there's always a lot to do.
Yeah,
Um, but it's not like the hustle and bustle of New York or, LA even. Atlanta, just the South, they kind of move at their own pace, and that's what I like about it. It's just more my
yeah.
speed. I don't think I'd be able to survive in New York City. It's just like too much going on. It's like,
You'd
sensory.
probably really love Australia then. You'd probably love a bigger city in Australia where it's like that. It's like the pace is a little bit. You've still
Yeah,
got the hustle and bustle of a city, but it's definitely not like a New York or LA, you know. It's just a little
that's
bit slower.
saying I wanna set up like a whole Australia tour um for my sound advice event
Mm.
because I know a lot of people that follow me are in Australia and it's like the one place that I haven't gone that I so bad haven't made it yet. So it's
Oh, we're
definitely
gonna have to do that. You're absolutely gonna have to do that. I've got that on the list to talk to about the tour a little bit later on as well. But we'll get into it now, and hopefully some more people will join the chat shortly. But I'm like, obviously, we've known each other peripherally for a long time,
yeah.
and it's been so great to see just what's happening with you at the moment. It just feels like I've always considered you as someone that's really successful and you're doing really great things. What up, Soy? Thank you so much for the 14-month subby. We've got Soy's Real in the chat at the moment. He is also an amazing music producer
Oh,
out of Orlando. So also great that he's here. Well, actually, my music just turned off, which is usually I play Soy on my stream all the time. So I better get that cracking while we're talking. So yeah, we've known each other for a long time, and it's just been great to see. I don't know, you just continually leveling up, continually doing new stuff. That's been really cool and interesting to see. Um, you know, I messaged you yesterday because I feel like there might be a lot of new people that are starting to follow you that haven't seen the work that you've put in sometimes. I know I replied to a DM that you got. It was just like, for me, it was just like so offensive that some kid would come on and say, like, you know, who are you or whatever. I'm just like, they haven't seen the work, obviously. So I definitely want to get into it with you about that and, you know, the years of hustle and stuff. But let's go back to the start, talk
yeah.
about how you first started getting, you know, getting into music production and how those first few years were for you.
I started in college, and if we want to go back even further than that, I've always been playing instruments my whole life. My dad signed me up for drum lessons very early on in like elementary school. And I was in concert band in high school and middle school, played percussion. I was in a rock band in high school. So, I grew up always having music involved in my life in some way, shape, or form. And then in college, it just kind of manifested into like wanting to experiment with production and specifically hip hop production because I was like just fresh into my hip hop like rap music phase, so I was listening to a lot of like underground Jedi Mind Tricks and like the Roots and Philadelphia East Coast hip hop and like Tupac and Biggie. Like that was my shit, and so that inspired me to start making beats. And so I got my hands on a cracked version of FL Studio and just started making beats right there in my dorm room, and it just kind of caught on.
Awesome. Soy just said, "Holy shit, JMT?" Question mark? Question mark? Exclamation mark.
JMT, yep, Jedi Mind.
Big fan as well. Yeah, that's it's so awesome to hear. I guess because I have such a similar path too, with just loving hip hop and feeling a connection to the music, and that's kind of how my career started as well. Was like documenting hip hop in Australia, and then ended up being international artists and all that sort of stuff. Soy said our histories are quite similar. I thought that might be the case, Soy. That's hilarious. But talk about, I guess, when you're starting out, and I guess because a lot of people now come to you for advice. That's a lot of the stuff, and I love this about you too, because you feel like you're just an open book essentially. Like you're really happy to give out advice. I'm very similar as well with young music photographers, and those first few years are such a struggle. Like they're a real grind. Can you
Yeah.
talk about those like what is that like when nobody knows who you are and it feels like you're just making these beats, no one's ever gonna like pick up on this. How do you push through that stage, I guess, to keep going? Because that's a question that I get a lot, is that when you're starting out, you're taking all these photos, no one gives a shit about who you are, but you've got to keep kind of grinding.
You know, I'm gonna be honest, Michelle. I think that you just really have to love what you do more than anything else. Because for
Mm-hmm.
me, I was able to overlook, and there were certain periods where it really sucked. You know, like I couldn't pay the bills, and money was always tight, and and I knew that, you know, I just wanted more opportunities to be heard. Right, that's the struggle of every
Yeah.
upcoming creative or entrepreneur. Um, but my headspace was always just so wrapped up in the art of making music and creating and collaborating with my friends. And we were having fun while doing it. So I think that was a big part of me just overcoming a lot of those challenges, was just being so obsessed with the art of making music. And I
Mm.
think that's just what it comes down to, is like you really have to love what you do in order to push through those challenging moments. And I'm sure you relate too, like when
Mm.
early on in your photography days, like I'm sure you just like loved doing it, and that's why you kept doing it even though it wasn't paying the bills, right?
Ah, absolutely. I mean, it's the only, you know, absolutely just, I resonate with everything that you said that. It wasn't even about, I mean, I definitely wanted to get to a position where I was earning an income that would, was a full-time income, but I just threw myself into it. For me, it was like, there wasn't any other option other than to making it work, but I truly loved what I was doing. I truly loved working with artists and musicians, especially in the hip hop scene here. And like, you're totally right. I think if you're loving what you're doing every single day, it seems to be less of a struggle. And I think that's where maybe some people, if they're not loving it, they're feeling like it is a grind. It's way harder to push through those times. If it's just like crap, like I feel like I'm getting nowhere, and no one's ever, if they're just doing it for the attention or the likes, then that you're going to be disappointed.
Yeah, and um like I think eventually the results catch up to your belief. Like I always believed that it would work out at some point in time. I didn't know when, but I just kept working towards that end goal of like, okay, I just want to become a successful producer for my career, for my lifetime. And at some point the results start to catch up to that. As long as you keep your head down and stay working and stay obsessed with like your craft, then you're going to get better at it and you're going to learn things as you go. I think that's the biggest thing, is like you have to be okay with learning things as you go and not having it all figured out from the beginning.
That's so true. So I just said, this is getting real very fast. You're dropping gems for free. That's why we're here. So I also said the band geek drum fanatic here then found hip hop through Wu-Tang forever. So yeah, very similar paths for sure. You're definitely, I'll have to send you some of Soy's stuff. He's such an amazing producer, and I've been playing on him on my stream for ages because he's just so talented and awesome. But I absolutely love everything about that. And I've often come onto your page and seen that you're, constantly giving advice to young people. And obviously it's similar to photography, and there's so many people that want to be music producers. Do you find like, I mean, this is what I find is like everybody wants the shortcut. Like everyone wants that 5-minute success story or whatever. They don't, and this is kind of what annoyed me the other day when you screenshot what they were
Yeah,
saying. It's like they haven't seen the years before. Like they haven't seen the
yeah,
grind. They've just seen, oh, you've got so many followers. How the hell did this happen? And
right.
that's frustrating, I think, sometimes when it's like people are just after that quick fix. Do you feel the same way?
I used to a lot more than I do today. Um, No, I definitely agree with you that people are looking for the shortest way possible to success. But when people make assumptions about me, it doesn't bother me that much
Hmm.
anymore. I screenshotted that particular one just because I thought it was so funny that he switched so fast as soon as I replied to his DM. He switched up so fast, called me a bum, and gave me respect. Same paragraph, literally. Um, so I just thought it was funny, and that's why I reposted it. But in
Yeah,
any
yeah,
like, it doesn't bother me because it's all like documented, and I know
yeah,
that the majority of people that follow me have seen the journey, and I'm not afraid to share it either. I'm very
yeah,
transparent. You know this about me, like I'm very transparent about sharing my experiences and sharing the journey, sharing information, whatever I know. Like I don't hold back at all. So, like I'm not I'm not that insecure.
yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That's such a good way to be. Like, yeah, I absolutely love that. Um, and yeah, like you said, it's all there if people want to look it up. So it's like,
Yeah.
um, so what do you think? Do you consider there being a moment that was kind of like your big break, or were there kind of little things that were happening that started, I guess, progressing your career?
I really see my career as a culmination of many little moments, many little wins along the way. Um, 9 times out of 10, that's usually how it goes. Like you have small little wins, they kind of propel you from point A to point B, and then point B to point C, and you just kind of like it's like building brick by brick, and that's literally how my career has been. And it's been, man, it's been what, over 12 years now, if we count from the time that I started making beats in my college dorm room.
Mm.
It's been like literally a little bit over 12 years. So, yeah, and that's just how it continues going for me.
Yes, it's yeah. Like I said, we kind of spoke about this before we went. What up, TJ? Nice to see you here. We spoke about it before we went live, but I came across you kind of with the whole funk volume stuff when you were involved with those guys, and I was doing a bit of work for them out here, and also when I went out to LA as well. So, I saw, and that was probably God. Was that like 7 or I don't even know, 7 or 8 years ago? I can't remember. 6? I don't know.
Yeah, I would say
The
a
last
long
two
time.
years are a blur, so I just like I can't like yeah, I don't even
Yeah.
know. I don't even know what year it is. I want to really talk to you about, I guess, you've been grinding away for so long and had all this success, and then recently you've switched to using social media in a way, like a really unique way, to build your profile and to do just really, really cool things. And that's, like I said, I've been following you for so long, but I found it really inspiring when I started seeing you do what you were doing on TikTok, what you're doing on Reels. Can you talk about, because I think there was some hesitation for some people to do that for some reason, and
Yeah.
it's obviously it's completely different now, but definitely when you started there was hesitation for people to go down that route. I guess I'd love to talk to you about why you decided to do that, and it's obviously been so hugely successful, so obviously it obviously was a risk that's paid off really well, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Well, let me be the first to say that I was hesitant to get on TikTok. I did not want to be on TikTok because it still had that stigma of like being an app where preteens and kids would like make up silly dances, And so, me as like a music producer who has integrity for my music, I was like, man, this is the last shit that I want to do is, get on this app for kids. But my business partner, Benton, shout out to Benton, um, he was the one who was like, yo, Kato, you need to get on this like today. And Benton, like, I trust Benton so much because we've known each other for a long time, and he understands my business and what I'm trying to do. And so I listened to him and I was like, all right, so I downloaded TikTok and I just started posting stuff. I started posting my beats. I started sharing like past videos that I shared on Instagram. And probably within a month, I posted that beat that ended up going crazy viral on TikTok. And actually, Rayana Maria, um, she's actually from Melbourne, and she is the one
Yes.
who duet that beat, and it
Yes.
was like top 5 most viral sounds on the globe.
That's the
And so,
I'm So Pretty and You Like That, that one that just went
yeah,
like
so pretty.
bananas. Yeah, So Pretty.
Yeah,
So for those who don't know, if you've been living under a rock, if you're not on TikTok, most people I would assume would have at least come across one of the many iterations of like the duets and all of the there was like the pet one where you did it with the dog, there was the outfit change one. It just went crazy.
went
Like, what was that like to see? I mean, it starts from like an idea, I guess, and then it just becomes this like global phenomenon. It was so wild to see that. I mean, I can't even imagine what that was like for you. And like, what's the girl's name from Melbourne? I do know she's from Melbourne, but I actually don't know her.
her name is Rayana Maria.
Rihanna, that's right. Yes.
Um,
What was that like for you guys to see that go so crazy?
it was insane, but it happened so fast that I don't think in the moment I had time to process what was happening. I just saw, like, I think the biggest thing for me was just watching so many celebrities and famous people making videos to that sound on TikTok.
Yes.
And then, of course, the labels started reaching out to us. I mean, I must have gotten emails from every major record label in the world within like those couple weeks, and they all
Oh
wanted
my
to
God.
about that song. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
that's when we knew that it was doing something. It was
Yeah.
just it was going crazy.
And then from that point, then, like, what's happened from that point? Have you signed anything? I know Rihanna, so she must have signed to a label because they contacted me to do some press shots and it never went through. And I think because of lockdown stuff, we never was able to do it, but there was a whole discussion about doing stuff for her at some point, a little
Oh,
while
no.
back, but yeah, it didn't happen for whatever reason, but there must have
Gotcha.
been a bunch of like interest from both sides, and have you both signed stuff now, and what's happened since then?
Rihanna signed to Victor Victor, which is under Universal. So she ended up basically signing to Universal. We got reach outs from a lot of people, but like it wasn't something that we were just willing to jump on right away. Like
Yeah.
we, at that point, I kind of understood the business, right? And
Yeah.
Benton, my partner, very much understood the business. And we work with a lot of people who have been in the business for a long time. So we considered a lot of offers, but we never ended up signing anything just because we felt like it wasn't the right fit or the right time for us to do that. And we're still actually in discussions with a lot of those companies that reached out. But I mean, just as a direct result of that TikTok momentum building, I mean, I've probably done more partnership and sponsorship deals in the past 6 months than I've done in my entire 12 years.
Which is crazy, and this is what I like. I love talking about this because, like I said, there has been hesitation for artists, and especially artists that have been around as long as you, to get on a platform like that, to see, like, to use it, because obviously a lot of younger people, they get it, and
Yeah.
it's more organic for them. They don't feel as silly or whatever because, we're older, we feel like a bit more self-conscious about that stuff, and that's what I love. Like, seeing what you've done, and it's obviously been so successful. I think it's also really beneficial that you had been in the industry for so long, because I could see maybe a younger person being thrown all of these like opportunities and not maybe knowing what's best, and maybe signing something that they potentially like isn't beneficial for them. It might be
Yeah.
some weird 360 deal or something. So it's probably great
Yeah.
that you've got that, experience to not just jump in to something.
How has TikTok been for you? Because I know you're on it. Like, oh,
I'm so bad. Look, I put a lot of effort into it for a while, when I was shooting again. And I had a friend, actually, she would make my TikToks for me because I'm really bad at it, but I would send her all the content and she'd make them for me. And I pay her a fee a month to do that. But then I've got zero content to do at the moment. So it's really, really hard. And it's a lot of effort. Like, I think because I'm streaming still, I really put a lot of effort into streaming.
yeah.
So it's kind of like you got it, like you were saying, you kind of dropped off streaming. You kind of got to pick a lane almost, if that makes sense.
It's a lot.
Because it's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. No, I hear you. But yeah, I think actually I just see a lot of like creative people doing a lot of creative things on TikTok, and I think that's why it's inspiring for me to just see the ideas and all these young people being so
Yes.
creative. App, like, it's just inspiring for me.
Exactly. I find the same thing as well. Gab said TikTok is weird for sharing images. I don't know how to find the engagement. I found that as well. What I found does really well with photographers is something that I'm a little bit allergic to, but it's like the ones that I see do really well. They'll like go up to strangers in the street, which are probably not really strangers, and then they take photos and then they show them like like it's a bit corny for me. Like, that's probably
Yeah.
not. So it's just finding, I think, something that's authentic and
Yes.
that works. And what works for me is literally just doing like a behind the scenes of a shoot and then doing a reveal at the end. I find that really organic. It just feels like, oh, I would do this anyway. But it doesn't get heaps of traction. Like, I don't know. But I wasn't really on there to get any more followers or anything. It was more just to see. It's such a, I find it a really fun platform. And like you said, there's so many creative people doing cool things. So it's just cool to be involved in that, I think.
No, for sure. And I think you said it. It's like finding that one thing that people gravitate towards,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
doing it your own way that's authentic to you. I think that's the most important thing. I think so many people, and
Yes.
I was guilty of this too. I looked at the app and I put limitations on myself for what could be done, And one thing that I saw that a lot of people weren't doing on TikTok at the time was I didn't see a lot of producers on there, and not a lot of people were like sharing their music, And so I was like, well, perfect. I'll start doing that. I'll start putting my beats there, like wedding, big thing. So I'll just let people like rap over my beats on TikTok. It's perfect, and that ended up working out great for me.
Yeah, it's worked out really well. I love that. Soy said he tried. It's now my source for memes and videos to annoy my friends. Soy has the weirdest For You page I've ever seen in my life. It is it's like the abyss of TikTok, the weirdest shit you've ever seen. They never ever come up on my timeline. He sends me these TikToks and I'm like, what is this? He's like, I don't know, fam, my algorithm is like fucked up, and it's so funny. Like, it's a very dark, weird kind of weird corner of TikTok. But Alias is an amazing rapper, by the way. He said, I made 3 really dope ones that nobody saw and I rage quit TikTok.
Hey, look, there's an audience for everything on TikTok. That's what I've learned. No matter what you're into, there are other people on TikTok that will like it. So just do you.
That's so true. That's so true. I love to. I mean, it's been great to see you know, where even with So Pretty, there was like, I think it was like Tiger jumped on that. There was like a bunch of other people that it became this whole thing, didn't it? And that's what I see now. Like whenever you put up a beat, it's like rappers are like challenging themselves to get the best verse on it and stuff like that. Like people are tagging their friends, so, oh, you should jump on this. This would be really dope. And it's become like a whole. You've created a whole new movement almost. I don't even know how to explain it. It's like people want to be involved with that now.
Yeah, I guess I've kind of been known for that producer who everyone like duets or now remixes on Instagram, because Instagram has their own, remix function. So, yeah, I guess I'm kind of like that producer that everyone duets. I don't
It's
know.
great though. It's so great. I mean, it must be great for just in terms of exposure. You know, I mean, that word is so kind of dirty in our industry, but there is a genuine exposure that comes from this. So people just know who you are. You know, that's outside the industry that you would have been in for so long.
Yeah, and that wasn't even necessarily, this is the crazy part, is that wasn't even necessarily my intention when I first got TikTok. I just wanted to find new artists to collaborate with. I wanted to find new people to work with. That's always been my thing. Even from back in the Funk Volume days, I launched my own contest called No Sucker MCs, and I did that once a year to like just discover new talent. And that's how I discovered Joyner Lucas. That's how I discovered Token. And when I saw TikTok come around, that was like the new iteration of collaborating with upcoming artists. And it was easy. I just had to post my beats on this platform and people would start rapping over it, and singing over it. So that was my intention. And then it turned into something like way bigger.
Bigger. Yeah. It kind of took on its life of its own.
Yeah.
Which is pretty wild to see. I mean, it's one of those things, hey, it's like you've taken a risk at a time where you're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to be that organic to me. Took a risk. You're there probably before, because that's one of the things, is being there early before other people are doing it, because otherwise the market's just flooded. So it's that. There's a bit of luck in all of that as well. And then, it's all of those things kind of aligning. Right time, obviously all of the years before of experience, and then right place, right time, and then something really crazy like this happens, which is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I want to talk to you about something you did recently. Was it called the Sound House? Was that what it was called?
Songhouse Live.
Yes. Can you talk about that and what that was? How did they approach you, and what exactly was that thing that you did? Because we'd originally spoken to come on a little while ago, and then you were going into the house and you were like, I want to do this, but I'm going to be away for like months. So it looked really fun.
It was. So Songhouse Live, for anyone that doesn't know, is a reality show. And it's based on 8 TikTokers who are in a house for 6 weeks making music. And these aren't just like random TikTokers. Like, these are TikTokers with millions and millions of followers who also happen to make music. And so I was brought onto the show by actually my business partner, Benton. He's one of the 3 co-creators of Songhouse Live. So also shout out to Billy Mann. Billy Mann is one of the other creators of Songhouse Live. And yeah, so Benton initially asked me one day if I wanted to if I just wanted to be on the show. And when he pitched me the idea, I wasn't into it at first. Like, I know it sounds crazy because like I just reject all the offers that Benton sends my way. Like, he told me to get on TikTok, I said no. He told me to get on Songhouse Live. Initially, I said no, because it just sounded like, to me, it was a bunch of like 20-year-old TikTokers that were gonna be in a house, and I'm like 34. I'm like, what business do I have like doing this, And Benton knows. And so he was like, all right, so just give me some time. I'm going to figure something out. And so he just kept me posted. And probably about a month later, he was like, bro, I have the perfect role for you. What if we brought you onto the show as the host. So you would be like
Ah.
host figure of Songhouse Live, and you'd also be an in-house producer helping the cast members make music. And so I thought about it and I was like, this actually fits perfectly for like my brand and what I'm trying to do, you know? And so I was in, and we just worked out the details. And next thing you know, I was in a 40-acre estate in upstate New York for 6 weeks with a bunch of TikTokers, and it was awesome.
I love that you've just like jumped at that. I feel like we're really similar in personality in that regard. It's just like that. Yeah, that just sounds like such a great opportunity. See you later, Soy. Soy said, "Pleasure to meet you virtually as well." He's got to go to sleep. He's in Orlando. It's probably quite late. Yeah, so it's just I think great when you jump at those opportunities. Like, had you done any other hosting before? Did you find that difficult, or was it just something that just came really naturally?
It was a new experience for me, but I kind of like have experience doing what we're doing now, just like talking and interviewing people and just having conversations. So I figured it couldn't be that hard. Um, what I didn't really consider was the fact that I would be in a house with a bunch of TikTokers and every like cameras were on 24/7. And so that was the
Wow.
challenging, like just knowing that you got to watch what you're saying at all times, and
Yes.
this that the cameras are watching you 24/7. So there was a camera crew in the house, like usually during the day into the nighttime, but then also had like 4 or 5 live stream cameras that were like planted in the house that were streaming 24/7 to YouTube. And so that took a little getting used to.
And I can imagine too, at some point, like you were saying, you have to be careful with what you say and stuff. At some point, you're going to get comfortable with all these people. It's going to feel
Yeah.
like you're just in a house with your mates. And that's when I think it could be like, oh shit, you made some joke that you would just make with your mates. You definitely wouldn't make it, on a television show.
Yeah.
But you're like, you maybe forget. Like, did that ever happen? Or were you just like, oh my God, like,
Oh,
you're just
trust
going to watch everything?
the drama is like I've seen the first episode of the show. The drama is definitely there.
Oh my
We
God.
got caught pretty. Um, I mean, things slip out, and I remember maybe the first
Yes.
week, one of the cast members in the house. His name is Alec. Really, really talented artist, good friend of mine. Um, this was probably the first week of being in the house, and I think one of the producers of the show asked Alec for his phone number, and Alex said his phone number like live while the cameras were streaming. Luckily, I don't think too many people heard it because it was like the first week of the show.
Oh
But
my
yeah,
God.
those were the types of things that we had to be conscious of.
Yeah. Of course. You just wouldn't even think about that. Or even just, I don't know, you could just. I'm always thinking of like when you're with your mates, you always say those inappropriate jokes that are inappropriate, but you're with a trusted group. They all know that it's a joke. You absolutely, something could slip out that absolutely don't mean it's, in its,
Sure.
in, but oh my God, it just breaks my brain to think about that, everyone's exposed like that.
Yeah, yeah. It was it
That,
was uh it was kind of high anxiety for those first couple of
yeah.
weeks.
Yeah. And how did you find the experience overall? Do you think it was beneficial and would you do it again?
I would do it again, and I'm excited because now we're in the process where like the show is going to end up on some platform, whether it's I don't know. There's so many streaming platforms now, but once it comes out, I think it's going to do really well, and we're already talking about doing season 2. So um,
Oh, that's so awesome. I love that. That's great. And I hope that we get to see in Australia. I hope there's some type of streaming platform that sometimes we get blocked from stuff, but fingers crossed.
yeah.
That's awesome. One teacher asked a question. Any advice how to stay patient with your craft?
How to stay patient. That's a great question. You know, I think it really goes back to what I said about just being obsessed with your craft.
Mm.
But I will say, that's a really good thought. I, I will say that I think, oh, what was I gonna say? Oh my God, I had a really, really good answer. It slipped my mind. Um, Give me a
Sly Dog
sec.
was saying we both made a great point before about loving what you do, obviously, and it can be really tricky with patience. I think one of the things that for me, it's about always learning, like continuing to learn. What up, Bill Nash? Thank you for the subby. Continuing to learn helps me be patient because it's like you feel like you could get to, I know everything, but there's always stuff that you don't know. So like picking a new technique to try or something, and then it just becomes a challenge again, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and this is the point that I wanted to make. I think waiting, if you're like working for those moments, right? If the reason why you're doing what you're doing is to go viral or is to get signed or to get uh, a million fans, right? I think that's when you start to become impatient because those
Mm-hmm.
results don't happen overnight. You and I
Mm-hmm.
both know this because we've been working at it for a long time. And so the way that you want to approach your career is like, let me just take it a day at a time, set personal goals for myself as far as like what progress I want to make, whether it's,
Mm-hmm.
I want to make 5 beats a week, right? Or I want to record 3 or 4 songs, a week or whatever it is. Um, I think it's great to set personal goals, but like, I don't feel like you should be doing it to go viral or to have these
Yeah.
like big, huge moments because that's when you become frustrated and disappointed and impatient.
I completely agree with you, and I feel like, and it's really tricky. I think for younger people as well who haven't had any career outside of social media, that's all that they know. So all of the, social media is literally wired for us to be addicted to it, to get dopamine from the way that we post, to get validation that way. And this is what I try and teach is like, if you're doing stuff that you like, that you truly like, that's what's most important. And because what can happen is like you post a photo that you really love and it doesn't do as well, all of a sudden you have this dip in confidence because you feel like that external validation is there. It doesn't even matter. Like it's
Yeah,
so hard to rewire your brain to thinking that it doesn't matter about how many likes you get, it doesn't matter how many followers you get. Like it really just matters if you're loving what you're doing, you're loving your craft, and then you can continue pushing, I think. And it can take the fun out of it sometimes if you're continually chasing that
totally.
external validation. It's just not fun.
It's fun out of it. And here's the other thing to think about is like, okay, so if you just started making music or you just started taking photos or you just got a camera, whatever, right? If you go viral, if something you post or a little snippet of your song goes viral, then what? Like,
Yes,
if you're
yes.
in a position where you haven't been doing it a long time and you don't
Yeah,
have any sort of follow up or you don't know how to execute, once something catches a lot of momentum, that moment is going to come and go so
so
fast.
yeah,
And it's going to leave your head spinning. And so I
yes,
tell new creatives, like, just focus on getting really, really good at what you do so that when those moments do come, you're prepared for it and you know how to take advantage of it in the right way. You know how to exploit that opportunity in the right way. Because I've seen it happen
yes,
where creators just by chance have a post go viral and they don't know what to do and they don't know
yeah.
how to capitalize on that opportunity, and it's such a wasted opportunity
Mm.
because there was no follow up and they don't have a team in place, they don't have the right connections in place. They don't know the
Yeah.
business. They don't know how to monetize it. Like, you really, really have to think about when these things happen, what are you going to do next? Because that part is so critical about what you do next after that. And a
Oh,
lot of opportunities just get wasted because people don't know what to do and they're not prepared for it.
absolutely, totally agree. Bill just said the music industry calls that a one-hit wonder. I mean, that the amount of times that happens now with social media, there's something that
Every day.
blows up, especially with music artists, because something might go viral on TikTok or whatever. They don't have any other songs. Like,
Yeah.
they literally don't have any other back catalog or anything. And so if there's offers coming, like, they're not prepared as an artist. They don't know how to write songs. They're not in a position to take advantage of it, like you just said. So doing that work, I think, is really important. So you're in that position to take advantage of, if something blows up, then you're good to go.
Even worse, right? This is what happens every day in the music industry, is that a snippet goes viral from a brand new artist. Let's say he or she is 18 years old, right? They have no experience, they have no
Mm.
team, they have no lawyers, they don't know the business. But so they don't obviously know how to take advantage of that. But labels are looking at that opportunity like, I'm going to sign your shit and you're going to give me 100% of the
Yeah.
music,
Yeah, you're
and
not going to know. Yeah.
idea what that even means. But we're going to
Yeah.
give you a little 500,000 or even $1 million check, a little advance. And we know that we're going to make 3, 4, 5, 10x on our money. And you're
Mm.
just going to take that check and that's all you're going to ever have. Right. And so
That's so true.
it's like you really got to know what you're doing to be in that position.
Yeah, so God, I don't even know how to like fix that issue either, because there's obviously so many young people that are coming on and looking for that next viral thing, and obviously, 1 in a million people, they're going to be that person, and they're just not. Like, it just seems like there's going to be a whole nother generation of young kids that are going to get taken advantage of, and I was really hoping we were moving away from that, but it's like, it's probably not the case. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I think that the upside is like we're in such a great position to learn, right? Because all the
Mm.
information is out there. It's more accessible now than ever before. And so
Yes.
I think you just have to be more conscious of being smart about your business
Mm.
and learning the other side, right? It's not just
Yeah.
all about taking photos. It's not just all about making beats or making songs. You got to learn the business too. And all the information is out there and it's very accessible.
I often say this, it's so much less about taking the photos or making the music, and so much more about the business, and really knowing your shit, not being able to be taken advantage of. Like, it's,
Yeah,
I think, probably the most important thing, just being able to stand your ground. You don't have to be an arsehole about it, but just knowing your rights, knowing
for sure.
how, like, things with copyright and stuff like that. You don't, just not being a pushover, essentially,
Yeah,
because that is a really surefire way of, like, just getting super depressed because that you're being taken advantage of and someone doesn't respect you. And most people will probably quit because they're just like, well, what's the point? So it's on, people have like a self responsibility to learn this stuff. Like, I think it's the most important thing.
yeah, it's tough. I mean, I'm sure you'll agree with this, but you almost have to be taken advantage of
Yes,
like,
you
to
do.
learn
You have to.
things.
Yeah. I mean, I just launched a masterclass that basically is teaching everybody all of this stuff, because I had to learn the hard way. You have
Yeah,
to hit a few brick walls with your
you do.
face to know to, like, so I'm trying to teach all of that, now, to say, hey, there's all of these unwritten rules in the industry that nobody tells you about until you fuck it up. So,
Yeah, true.
yes. I want to talk about your, before we let you go, because it's nearly been an hour already. Oh my God, I can't believe it's been so quick. I want to talk about your Sound Advice tour, not coming to Australia yet, but hopefully at some point. what's going on here? What's happening on your tour? It looks like you're going all over the place. I'm very jealous. I have FOMO. I really want to go to one of these shows. But yeah, what's happening here with your tour?
Well, hopefully I'll do like a whole Australia tour once you guys are locked down, safe to travel.
Yes.
But yeah, the Sound Advice tour is a 24 city tour that I put together. It's 100%, not 100%, but almost 100% fully funded and created and booked by me and my amazing team. And it's basically a private in studio experience for artists, producers, and songwriters. So I go city to city, and I book out these like small, kind of intimate, dope studios, and I allow 25 artists, producers, and songwriters to come and ask me questions, to network. I do music feedback. I have a bunch of other like really cool stuff lined up for the events, and it's just a really dope experience for anyone that makes music.
Mm.
Um, and so we're doing 24 dates across the U.S., and I think we have one in Vancouver. Um,
I have the schedule up on the screen at the moment. So you do have one in Vancouver. That's correct. It's on the November the 6th.
yeah,
This is so exciting. I have massive FOMO at the moment for anyone that is able to tour. But like I said to you before, it's hopefully inspiring. Like, it's just inspiring to see that that's where we're going to be soon, hopefully. Fingers crossed. So I'm
for sure.
excited about that. Alias has asked, ask Kato for advice for over the hill rappers who can rap their ass off and make dope music but don't fit in to the current wave of popular hip hop. Now, Alias is legitimately one of the dopest rappers I've ever heard in my life. That is on God. I'd love to hear what you think about that, because I feel like there'd be a few people in that situation where they don't feel like this current wave, like they kind of fit in at the moment. What's advice for people like that?
I actually think that gives you an advantage not fitting into what's already popular, because I think people are constantly looking for something new because we're so flooded every single day on our timelines with
Mm,
music and content that's already out there. So
mm,
people are always looking for something like new and different and fresh. And that's how the music industry survives, is just finding new talent and new artists and the next wave.
mm.
So tell Alias, whatever you do, be the best at that. Like, own your lane and don't
Yeah,
sweat,
yeah, totally.
you know?
Yeah, yeah, totally. I guess it's really tricky. I mean, I see this. I definitely see it in Australia, and I definitely see it on a global landscape. There is an obsession with youth, and there is an obsession with the young, hottest new thing that's coming. And obviously, social media can play into that. We're finding those artists because they're on those platforms. So I can understand the frustration. I've got a lot of friends too, especially female artists that might be in their late 30s and they're literally writing the best music of their careers, but the industry doesn't want to hear from them. So there is like, I don't know, I don't even know the answer to it, but I wish there was like a different lane or something for artists that are a little bit older that have so much to say still, but and they've become so good at their craft, but maybe the industry's not listening as much. It's like trying to find your own little pocket of people, I guess, or your own fan base somehow.
Your own niche. Yeah, I think that's really what it comes down to,
Mm.
is finding your tribe. And
Yeah.
some tribes are going to be bigger than others. Some tribes are going to be smaller. Some tribes are going to be in the middle. So it's really like, I'm a very big believer in that as long as you have quality music or photographs or videos, whatever it is that you do, like people will find it. Um, that might mean that you have to be a little bit more crafty and resourceful about how you market yourself and where you're putting your music in front of. And
Mm.
like, I don't know that putting it on TikTok, where the demographic is like
Mm.
really young, would be the best place for that to live. But if you can, if you have a big catalog on Spotify, there's a playlist that has a primarily like older demographic, like that might be what you need to do. Or maybe it's, I think everyone needs to approach their business in the way that makes sense for them. So,
Mhm.
yeah, I think you just need to be a little bit more crafty about how you market yourself, and it's hard.
Yeah, it
It is
is
hard.
really hard. It is hard. The marketing, I think the marketing side of things for a lot of artists that I'm friends with, it's what they find the most difficult. They just want to make music and they're really great at making music. The marketing stuff doesn't come as organically to them and they don't enjoy it as much. So it's just really tricky.
Yeah, it is tricky. Um, one way that I've learned to look at marketing, right, is all marketing does is it tells a story. And so if you learn how to create a story from your music and from your experiences, I think marketing becomes way easier. Once I
Mm-hmm.
understood my story and where I fit in with everything, the marketing part became a lot easier because
Mm-hmm.
I know like what story I'm trying to tell to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I marketing is difficult for people who don't understand their story or don't know how to communicate that to an audience, because you
Yeah.
need to do that in different mediums, right? Whether it's through videos, whether it's through social media content, or if you're active on Twitter, that's like a different medium, right? Or on Facebook, like there's so many different ways for creatives to share their story with people that part can become overwhelming. But I think really nailing
Mm.
down a compelling story and a compelling narrative to what sets you apart from everyone else, that's when you start to win. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that storytelling aspect, especially with what you do, Michelle, it's like you take photos of people, right? Those photos tell a story of like what that person is living through or what they're experiencing, what they're doing and what they love to do. So it's like the same thing, just in different mediums.
Yeah, and I think too, that was something that I learned really early on was like trying to find your voice, what that sounds like on different platforms as well.
Yeah.
So like I use social media really differently in each
Yeah.
platform. And Twitter was always a really big one for me because back in the day, Twitter used to be the only way you had direct contact with artists. Like before Instagram, you could literally just tweet someone and like people usually had, that was how they had their control of their accounts back then. So that was like the direct one-on-one contact that I would have with artists, like really big artists back in the day too. You'd just be able to tweet them if you just took photos of whoever, Childish Gambino, Joey Badass, whoever it is, that you can just literally tweet them and they'll see your photos like straight away. It's just like it's so wild because like that would never have happened years ago. You'd never have just some chick off the street that just took some photos of you that you could send them directly to the artist. Like, so just being able to find use of the platform in certain ways has really benefited me. That feels organic and doesn't feel like that you're marketing yourself. It just feels like, oh, these are photos I just took of you. Yeah, look. And if they retweet them, they're doing the marketing. Like I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
It's like they're
Exactly.
giving you visibility. So yeah, it's finding what feels super organic for you, I think. So
Yeah. Same.
yes.
I like making video content and putting out video content, and people tell me that they save a lot of my posts and it's motivational, inspirational, so like I've
Yeah.
learned that Instagram is my platform, and now TikTok, because it's so visual and so
Mm.
much video, that has become my other platform. And so I think it's really understanding like which of those formats is your strength and then
Mm.
going really hard with that one.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, do we have any last questions before I say goodbye? This has been such a great chat. It's been so good to actually talk to you, like after, following each other on socials for so long and connect. And hopefully, I really want to come to America next year. I'm telling all of my friends that I'm coming at some stage. So if I get to Atlanta, we definitely have to link, do a shoot or something, get you some new promo shots or something. We need to do something cool.
I would love to. I'm such a huge fan of your work, and I've been following you and your photography since Funk Volume days, and I was always so jealous that they got these dope photos, and I never had the opportunity. And so, like, I gotta make.
We need to make that happen. Yes, yeah. It's
Yeah.
either I get to Atlanta or you get to Australia. It's gonna happen. It'll yes. Gab asked a really good question. It's a good one to finish on. Have you ever had a major pinch me moment where you're just like, I can't believe this is happening to me right now? I'm sure you've had many actually, but one that sticks out.
Yeah. I guess it was kind of what I mentioned earlier, like when So Pretty was going crazy viral on TikTok, and just seeing the number of celebrities that were making videos to like music that I made. That was pretty crazy. Like,
Yeah.
God, I just I can't even remember all the people that made videos to that. I feel like it was every, but yeah, that was a pinch
It
me
was
moment.
everybody. Was there one celebrity that you like that you absolutely love that made a video and you were like, oh my god, like that was my teen crush or something, you know?
Yes. Who? I remember Gabrielle Union made one that was like really cool. Um, there's more. There's more
There
that
was
I.
so I remember you were reposting them at one point, and my mind was I was just like,
Oh, man.
it's everybody.
Yeah, it was insane.
Literally every celebrity, so good. Well, thank you so much. I super appreciate your time. This is such a great chat. Everyone in the chats, they're saying thank you so much for your wisdom, and they really enjoyed it. It was really insightful. I will send you a link shortly as well that you can share if you wish, and this will be up on YouTube shortly as well. So thank you so much for your time, and I hope we do get to link at some point in the near
Yeah.
future.
Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, everyone,
Awesome.
for watching, tuning in, and
Cool.
be safe.
All right, and see you later, guys. I'm going to end the stream here. I'm going to get some rest this afternoon. So catch you later. Bye.